Soaring like a bird, observing the world from high among the clouds has long been man's dream. And perhaps the most satisfying realization of this dream is the sport known as gliding. Gliders, also known as sailplanes, are very light and efficient aircraft that use rising air currents to stay airborne. Unlike hang gliders or other types of recreational aircraft, a glider has a comfortable and quiet enclosed cockpit with the same instruments and controls you'd see in an airliner. Modern gliders are constructed from strong but light materials such as fiberglass and carbon fiber, and are built to the same exacting standards as commercial aircraft. A glider flies by converting gravity into forward speed, with air flowing over the wings to create a lifting force so that it glides through the air like a paper plane. Their efficient low-drag design means that from a height of just 1,000 meters, a typical modern glider can travel as far as 40 or 50 kilometers before having to land. Because of their very flat gliding angle, gliders are equipped with air brakes, which increase the rate of descent during the landing approach, so that the pilot can approach the runway at a steep angle to clear trees and other objects. While the glider is slowly gliding through the air, the pilot will attempt to fly in rising air currents. By flying within this lift, the glider will gain height. The pilot will approach a likely area for thermals, bubbles of warm air rising from the ground. The pilot will feel for the telltale bumps of the rising air, then turn inside the thermal to start climbing. Soaring higher and higher using only natural energy really is an amazing experience. By seeking out thermals, a skilled pilot can remain airborne for hours at a time and travel hundreds or even thousands of kilometers in a single flight. For a glider to fly, it must first gain altitude. There are several ways of doing this. An aero-tow launch involves being towed into the air by a powered aircraft equipped with a tow rope. When the glider reaches the required height, the glider pilot releases the rope and, once clear, is free to soar away. Winch launching involves attaching a glider to a wire, which is wound quickly onto a drum by a powerful motor. At a signal from the ground crew, the glider quickly gains enough speed to fly and launches steeply into the air like a kite, an exhilarating experience which gets the glider airborne very quickly for little cost. Once the glider is almost directly overhead the winch, the pilot releases the wire and begins to search for lift. Another solution to getting airborne is the motor glider, which has its own engine and flies equally well with or without power. Modern gliders have sophisticated instruments to indicate the presence and strength of rising and falling air, what pilots call lift and sink, and also to calculate gliding distances. Navigation is aided by the use of GPS, which the pilot can use to display a moving map and information such as wind direction and distance to run, all on a small screen mounted in the cockpit. Australia has over 80 gliding clubs across every state and territory. These clubs provide gliders for hire, and an hour of soaring can typically cost anywhere between $50 and $100. Gliding clubs operate on a voluntary basis, so in most cases your instruction will be free, while other members hook you on, run your wing on takeoff, record your flight details, and drive your winch or fly your tow plane. Gliding really is a team effort. The Gliding Federation of Australia is responsible for maintaining a high standard of training and maintenance on behalf of the Civil Aviation Safety Authority and oversees all aspects of gliding in Australia. Gliding helps develop excellent judgment, coordination and teamwork, and so provides excellent training for anyone wishing to pursue a career in aviation, defence and many other fields. All flying experience in gliders can also count towards a private pilot's licence. You can enjoy gliding in many different ways, from a relaxing local flight with friends, sharing the thermals with wedge-tail eagles, to the challenge of a long-distance flight, the excitement of a cross-country race, or the thrill of aerobatics. It's also a sport that attracts a diverse range of people, both male and female, from as young as 15 to pilots in their 70s and 80s. Gliding is more than just flying an aircraft. It's a series of challenges and adventures that take place in the grandest arena of all, the sky. To become a glider pilot, you learn to fly in a two-seat training glider with an experienced instructor who has been approved by the Gliding Federation of Australia. Trainers have the same controls and instruments in the front and rear cockpits, allowing the instructor to demonstrate what is being taught and also to take control if necessary. Initial training consists of mostly short flights with the aim of teaching the confidence, skills and techniques required to fly safely. The best way to learn quickly is to attend a concentrated training course. Courses such as this will considerably reduce the time you need to learn and are run by many clubs, usually over a week or a few weekends. Although your first solo flight is something you will always remember, it's just the first of many challenges awaiting you as a glider pilot. There are certificates and badge flights to complete, friends and family to take flying, competitions to enter, and flying camps and safaris in many different parts of Australia. Going solo really is just the beginning. Soaring long distances across the countryside using only the energy from the sun is the ultimate pure flying experience and very rewarding. Pilots prepare their gliders for flight in the morning, and once they have studied the weather forecast, they take off to try and achieve an appropriately set flying task. The first challenge is often just to stay in the air. However, once the pilot has gained height and judged that conditions are suitable, it's time to cross the start line and set course for the first turn point. While cruising towards a turn point, the pilot will look ahead for likely areas of lift and fly towards these. Often the best indications of lift are cumulus clouds or other gliders already thermaling. The aim is to find enough lift in the right places to get you around the course and back home to the airfield. But it sometimes happens that a pilot who has run out of rising air with no airfield nearby has to find a suitable paddock to land in. With their effective air brakes and low touchdown speeds, gliders can land in just a few hundred metres, so landing in the average paddock is not difficult. But outlandings are relatively rare, and for most pilots on most task days, after many ups and downs along the way, it's always an exhilarating moment when the final glide begins. Another type of lift is called ridge lift. This is what allows seagulls to hover motionless in the sea breeze over sand dunes or eagles to soar along a cliff face. Ridge lift is caused by the wind being deflected upwards by a mountain or ridge, and once you're flying in this rising air, it's possible to remain airborne for as long as the wind blows. Gliders fly back and forth close to the face of the ridge. Flying a glider so close to the ground gives an exhilarating sensation of speed and is a lot of fun. Perhaps the most revered form of lift is known as wave. When a strong wind blows against a mountain range, the air is deflected upwards, much like ridge lift, but on a vastly bigger scale. In the right conditions, the wave will enable a glider to climb tens of thousands of feet. To look down on the world from a glider flying at airliner altitudes is a truly awe-inspiring experience. Many people new to gliding are surprised to learn that most gliders, even two-seat trainers, are capable of performing aerobatic manoeuvres such as loops and wingovers. Mastering the skills to control your aircraft through sequences like this adds a whole new level of challenge to this exhilarating sport.